Hello there, students. Yes, believe it or not, we are still continuing with this goofy little series I have here, and I figured what better way to theoretically round out the series with another video, I think part 5, to take what we have built and learned so far and we'll deploy it somewhere. My best advice to any prospective coding student is to build something and deploy it. It doesn't matter how single-serving, how simple, how dumb it may appear, you probably learned something along the way, and what better way to show recruiters, interviewers, your senior developers, your friends, your family, that you are progressing on your journey and building stuff and are dang proud of it than getting it out there even with a temporary URL from render.com and showing and sharing what you've built and talking about it, right? Make a blog post about it if you have a LinkedIn profile or a personal blog about, hey, I followed this YouTube series and built something, check it out. Add your own features to it, style it yourself and change it up and make it yours, and I feel like it's worthy of showing off as a beginner or heck, whatever skill level. I think it's really cool that people build things and deploy them all on their own. So let me take you through a tutorial on how to deploy. And remember, always check the description down below for a link to the URL for our GitHub that we've done. This now has the main branch with the most up-to-date code from the last video we actually coded something, aka end of video 4. So make sure you look in the description for a link to this playlist and follow along with those videos. If you're stumbling upon this video and you haven't watched the previous ones, you are if you don't care about actually coding and learning everything from this little project, then you are actually welcome to clone this, add it to your own repository, and follow along with just this pre-written code. So this is more standalone than the other 4 videos. You don't need to code anything here, but you will need to clone this to your own repository, which I'm going to do so y'all can follow along and deploy it on your own. Then feel free to configure it and change it and style it however you like and share in the comments below your deployed versions. Now, I chose Render because after some hours of testing today, this is the one deployment service, cloud service, platform as a service, or PaaS, that allows me to not only easily deploy an HTTP web server using Node Express that serves a static site, that also has permission to do file system reading and writing, which from the last 4 videos, that's how we manage this particular resource as a database. So we're not using Postgres or MySQL or Mongo or anything. We're just doing file system. And of the places I deployed, this was the place that had the easiest pipeline and access to file system permissions. So I chose render.com. I'm not paid by them. I'm just giving them a personal shout out. Hey, Render, if anyone from y'all's side is watching this and you want to partner up with Covalence and you want to give us some merch or some credits for students, if you're watching this somehow, hit us up. Right? Luke at Covalence. Luke at covalence.io is your place to be. So, yes, we're going to continue on, and at this point in the video, I've already registered and I signed up. Thank you, Percival. My cat just came across the camera and is now jumping on my computer as I live announce. Come on, get down. Say hello. He's got to say hello when he pops up here. Oh, hey everybody. This is Percival DeRollo. He will be interrupting this video evidently today. He occasionally does that. So, like I was saying, what we're going to do is you need to register using your GitHub login, I think is the easiest way, or you can just register to Render with your custom email, login, whatever you need to do, and then make sure to connect your GitHub to Render. That will be the easiest way for setting up a continuous deployment pipeline on your project. Whenever you make changes to a specific branch, for example, your main branch, it can be triggered to auto-deploy a new version on Render right away. It's extraordinarily convenient, and I love it. So take the time, if you need to pause the video, to go, if you want to follow along with me, to register for an account and connect your GitHub account to Render, whether that's registering with your GitHub account credentials or registering like a standalone Render account and then later connecting to GitHub. Go ahead and do that, right? So if you've come back after pausing and doing that, you should have access to your dashboard. Yours will probably be empty. I've done something here before on a different YouTube playlist where I built an ES build configured boilerplate from scratch and deployed it to various services, including Render, as we can see here. Now, like I said, make sure you have GitHub connected to your Render account before we continue on. So I have my personal one, my last name, connected and not the Covalence IO one. So I'm actually going to take y'all through how, if you haven't coded along in the 4 previous series and you're just interested about deploying to render a web service of some kind, aka an Express HTTP REST API, you can follow along by simply going to the description down below, grabbing the URL for this repo, and following along with what I'm about to do. I'm going to head to my personal GitHub really quickly. There's probably going to be like a test deploy repo I've already messed with that I haven't deleted yet. Yeah. Well, you can see I've been like messing with various deploy tests here. But let's go ahead and make a new repository to prepare for this. We're going to call it BG3 Character Planner because that's what my little application built. It built a Baldur's Gate 3 character planner, aka a simple D&D 5e planner that goes to level 12 and stops there, all done via file system in the previous 4 videos. I'm going to create this repository, so if you want to follow along and you haven't coded your own by this point, let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and grab our URL, and here is what we're going to do. I'm going to clone this project, so I'm going to head back to the what you can find in the description down below on the Covalence IO GitHub, Express Character Level Up. I'm going to clone it. I could just use this here, but again, I want to show y'all what it's going to look like when you're doing it on your own. We're going to run git clone and clone the Express Character Level Up. It already exists. We're going to clone it. My bad, y'all. We're going to clone it and call it something else, such as BG3 Character Planner. The same name as my repository that I created. Well, it doesn't have to match up, but I tend to try and make them, all right? So is that what I called it? How embarrassing. I already forgot what it is. Yeah, Character Planner. So my bad. If you already hit enter on this, it's okay. It's just going to make a folder called Express Character Level Up. If you run this command, it'll clone all this source code and version control and version history into a custom named folder. So this is what you should do anyway. We're going to clone this into a folder called BG3 Character Planner. You probably didn't get this error like I did because I already have it on my computer. If you were following along, don't worry about it. Just delete the folder it made and then make this new command, BG3 Character Planner. There we go. I'm going to cd into the BG3 Character Planner folder. I always like to do an npm install and running of the project to make sure it still runs after a fresh clone. I'm going to go ahead and run these commands, npm install, then npm run dev, and sure enough, it loads our beautiful character right here, including all the juicy data in there. It looks like I let it stop at level 11, which is fine. That'll be fine for deployment. I also realized I have no way of editing or deleting these characters, which might be a video 6, where we do some kind of like continuous integration and continuous deployment pipeline where we develop some changes, we test those changes, we push them to a development branch, and then move it back to a main branch, which will automatically deploy our new website with the ability to remove levels. That'd be kind of cool, right? Anyway, back in our, now that we know the project is installing its dependencies, it runs just fine, we are pretty much good to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it from the Covalence remote URL to my personal one. So this will be custom for you. We're going to run the command git remote set URL origin, and then we're going to paste the URL of our new repository. So in my case, that's my GitHub, checkbox, / and whatever the project repository I made right here, aka just copy this link to your clipboard from the landing page of the new repository and simply paste it here. So git remote set -URL origin paste URL. If you're concerned about this actually working, you can run the command git remote -v, which will spit out the origin or the GitHub URL of where you're going to be pushing and pulling code to and from, and it happens to be the one I created. So make sure yours says what your repository name is on your GitHub account and not the Covalence-IO account, because you won't have permission to access it. So now that I have this pushed with the latest code I want. Oh, I haven't pushed it yet. I set the URL. Man, I'm making mistakes this video. We're going to simply, let's see. Yeah, we're going to push this current code I have to my main branch on GitHub by running git push -u, which means set the upstream origin main. This means I'm pushing my code up to my GitHub. So now that I have it written here, there we go. I now have the entire version history of everything I wrote on the main branch of my personal GitHub. And if you have this step done the same, we are ready to move on to the next step. This is the most up-to-date, stable version of our web application, including our REST API. And what we're going to be doing is taking this main branch and deploying it to render successfully. So if you have your repository on your GitHub account ready, your render account is connected to your GitHub and ready, it's time to go back to our dashboard and click on New. And we're making a web service. Now, while our server does serve a static site, we need the web service up and running for free at all times, doing a small number of connections for our friends and family to look at this application. So we're going to be selecting web service. Okay, we're going to click on the radio option of build and deploy from a Git repository, which is exactly what we're doing. This was the important step because we needed to have our GitHub connected to our render accounts to make sure it has access. Surprise, right here. Now, if you don't see anything here, and you don't see anything on this little dashboard, then click on probably connect account for GitHub and connect it here to make sure you have it. So I'm going to connect my BG3 character planner repo, the same one you are now all ready to go. We're going to go with the unique name. Yeah, so BG3 character level up dash demo is what I did earlier today as a test to see how simple this was. Let's go ahead and make it the same name as my repository, just to make my life easy. BG3 character planner, that seems good enough. If someone has that, I'll be very surprised. Choose a region that's close to you. Yeah, I'm on the East Coast, so Ohio is about the best one I can pick. This is where, if you have a different branch other than main, where you can specify it. In my case, I only have a main branch. That's the most up-to-date version of my code. We're going to select that. In our case, this project is fairly simple. There is no build process or something insane or crazy, so I do not believe we need any kind of root directory. Our runtime is indeed node. Our build command, we're going to switch from the command yarn to simply npm install. Our build command is to install our dependencies and simply call it a day. There really isn't too much more else. There isn't much else we have to worry about in this build command. Our building is just make sure you install the dependencies, which will be like Express, and that's really about it. I think just Express, and that's all. That's our build command. Our start command is not node on index.js, but we're going to tell it to run npm start. That should be good. If this fails, I'll come back here and we're going to switch it from npm start to node on server.js, which is what we should do. It should be fine for an npm start. I'm going to laugh if that doesn't work, because that's not what I tested. Make sure you pick your free starter hobby project right here. Like I said, it has very limited capability, but it's fantastic for deploying something and showing it off to your friends, family, code mentors, coding colleagues, or your prospective recruiters and interviewers as you begin learning and coding. Remember, build things and deploy them is the best thing I could ever say. We do not have any crazy environment variables, so we should be able to create a web service, and let's see this thing spectacularly crash and burn. So, okay, yeah, so they will spin down with inactivity, which means if you haven't opened your website in a while, it'll probably take a minute for it to spool itself back up on the free tier, but nevertheless, that's fine in our case for this thing. So we can see that it did the same thing we just did. It cloned from my GitHub the project, the latest commits. It detected we're using Node. It specified a Node version. It run the build command npm install. It installed Express and whatever packages we need. It didn't have any issues. It uploaded the build to their servers. It's now deploying it. It deployed it, and it says build successful. So, I mean, theoretically, it's done. Now, to start the project, we should be able to, at some point, when this goes from in progress to deployed, we should be able to go and check it out here. So, yeah, as you saw, it saw, oh, look at that. So it finished deploying. It gave us a render URL. They gave us a web service that is now up and running. It detected the start command, which we wrote, called npm start just a moment ago in this video. It detected the script, node server.js. It ran node. There's the port. Remember, our port from our code base was defaulting to localhost 3000 on our machines unless specified from an environment variable. So this now was assigned, looks like we got port 10,000 on whatever URL we got. This is from their logs. These are my logs right here of, looks like it launched the website, which means the website made a request for the root, aka the public, which gave me the index HTML that has a link style sheet, a linked app.js, which makes a request to the character to the character endpoint, and it should be good to go. So it's live. Where's the link I can click around here? There it is. BG3 characterplanner.onrender.com. Let's go. And wouldn't you know it, I see my awesome little website here with the 11 levels. Let's pick a level here. I don't really care what it is. I'm super excited. What's an exciting class? We're going to pick Bard because we are very loud and charismatic and are singing the praises of this cool app. Click level up, and wouldn't you know it, Bard got added down there to level up. If I refresh the site, it's there. So I now have my character level up planner for Baldur's Gate 3 launched on a URL that you can go look at and click level up and have it error and crash because we don't have enough levels here. So does that work if I click level up? Yeah, look at that. We got an error, bad request. This is our error handling we wrote. Level up failed, level up limit reached. So again, some custom advanced settings. Take it from a console log to some kind of message that appears on the screen as your first step. So there you go. We have deployed this awesome little site to render. We can go to our dashboard, and wouldn't you know it, we have our BG3 character planner deployed a couple minutes ago, and it's good to go. So now, whenever you make a push to your main branch, it will auto-deploy the new feature to your URL, and you get to showcase off what you build. And again, I strongly urge anybody who's come along to just this video or has coded their own version along with me to deploy it and share in the comments below. I'd be happy to check it out. So as always, do all the YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe. If you have any other deployment places you want me to take a look at, leave those comments down as well. We get those all the time. Link your own URLs down here. If you have interest in learning more about web development, whether it's front end, back end, or React specific, check out the link down. Check out our community membership link down below in the description of this video for access. For $25 a month, you get access to our front end and back end courses, which combined is our full stack program. That's almost 300 hours of content, and I have a standalone React course as well that takes you from zero to hero. All of these things which I try and keep up to date. Any new courses I add will be automatically added to your community package for free, and you'll have access to us and me specifically in Discord if you have any questions on your development journey, or if you request any kind of specific content. I am in Discord all the time, whether it's professionally or personally. So y'all get in there and chat with us, and yeah, share your coding journey. Otherwise, thank y'all for watching this little series, and I don't know if there'll be a part 6, but I think I said that at part 3 about part 4, and then about part 4 about part 5. So whenever the inspiration strikes me or a comment or a question gets asked, I may continue this series. So maybe I'll see y'all there.